I am really very, very honored to be with all of you today. I stand before you by the grace of God. Been through the fire, going through the fire, but I'm still standing by His grace. You know, it's not just work, and I'm sure that many of you will be able to identify with this. My mother has Alzheimer's, and she's a spunky lady, but being a caregiver is no joke. And she has an aide 5 hours a day, but it's the emotional toll. It's a blessing to be able to serve, but there are times when it just feels like a curse, you know, and it's hard, really, really hard to watch this person that to decline. But we have great moments of joy. I'm very silly. I have to say anything, including this morning. But my mother is a very, very well-dressed woman, right? And sometimes when I go pick her up, it just amazes me that she's so well put together. You know, it's amazing to me. So I said to her one day, I said, Ma, I just want you to know that if one of these days you come out of the house when I come to pick you up, and I have kind of like a foul mouth, so I guess I won't say the words that I wouldn't say. All right, I'll just use one of them. If I ever come and pick you up and your shoes not together and you're looking like, like you're just throwing things, I'm just letting you know that's when I'm going to take you guys to the nursing home. So she says to me, because that would have to be the only reason, you know what I'm saying? So she said, well, I got one better for you. She said, if I ever come out of the house and I see my own self like that, you don't have to worry, I will check myself. So it's a great, great moment for laughter. I know that laughter is very, very healing, and so that's what both of us use to just kind of keep things going. What I know is that we are empowered by the sharing of our stories with one another. I will start also by saying that there is no such thing as a superwoman or a superman. Really. You know that we try to be, And here's the reality. We will die trying to be something that does not exist, because we're looking at the person next to us and it just looks like they have it going on, but you have no idea what a person's journey has been under the mask that they wear, that we all wear. And we have one for every different occasion. So as we move through our lives, just try to keep that in mind, that the person next to you, the person that you interact with, is just like you, no matter what that mask says. And just encourage you to just really kind of keep that in mind. We are empowered by sharing our stories with each other, with one another. The secrets, we harbor secrets that keep us from being our best selves, and they keep us locked up, quite frankly. They actually really do keep us locked up. And when you do have the strength, the power, the willingness to share your story with someone, you find out that you're not standing on that ledge by yourself, because everybody is going through the exact same things on different levels. So I would just really encourage you to share your story. Whether it's in a public forum or you see someone. I saw a young girl not too long ago. She was sitting near where I live on the water, and I could tell that she was a teenager. And I thought she was crying, but I wasn't sure. So I kind of moved over closer to see if I was getting it right. And sure enough, she was crying. And so I said, I know you don't know me. My name is Terrie, and it just seems as if you are upset about something. Do you want to talk? I wasn't looking to be compassionate that morning. I had my own stuff I had to deal with. That's usually how it happens, right? So I sat with her, and she shared what she was going through. And since I lived right near my home, and I had some copies of Black Paint in the trunk of my car, we walked over there, and I gave her that. and I hugged her. And what I normally do, and this is what's called taking care of yourself. Those of us who are in this field, we take on too much. It's called compassion fatigue, whatever you want to call it, and we have to learn to protect ourselves. It's very, very, very important. And so what I didn't do was give her my phone number, okay? Because, you know what I'm talking about? And it's a conscious effort to not give her my phone number, because the reality is once I get back into my life and my world, it would have been too much for me. I did what God called me to do at that particular moment. So I just want to encourage you all to just, it's not a sign of against anyone, it's about protecting yourself so that we can be the best that we want to be and need to be. In terms of us as women, we have to be careful because we're trying to do all and be all for everybody on the planet. For the brothers, and we will talk with one another. We don't always interact in a way that I think is healthy, but we will talk with one another. I think it's harder for the brothers because brothers are born, bred, and raised to suck it up, to be a man, to not show emotion. Am I right, brothers? Yes?
True.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I really appreciate you. But I mean, we met earlier too, right? What's your name again?
Brian Johnson.
Brian?
Yes.
Brian Johnson, thank you. The other ones are sitting there kind of still. And it's, I read something recently, what's being called John Henryism. You know what I'm talking about? And there was an article in a Yale magazine publication that they took a look at the number of black graduate men who had graduated, who were, just dying early. And it has to do with the fact that you have to be so much better than your white counterparts, or you have the same grade as your white counterpart, but that person is making way more money than you are. And because we are likely to keep things to ourselves, we don't talk about what's actually going on inside of us. And so what it does is the stress kills us. It kills us. More and more black women are not able to carry, professional black women are not able to carry infants full term because of the stress of the workplace. And so those are things that we really just have to take into consideration. Spending a lot of money on fertility drugs because it cannot get pregnant. And so I would just encourage you to just know that it is a gift to give yourself the opportunity to talk to a therapist. I mean, it's just a gift. We are not meant to walk around with the stuff that is inside of us. We're just not meant to do that. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. I go twice a month. It is my lifeline. And I tell, and this is one of the things I think that how we can begin to become a nation of healthier people is to tell our stories to the young people in our lives. Something's wrong with me. How many in this room see a therapist? Be honest. That's not hardly enough. But those of you who raised your hand, wonderful. It is what you need to stay sane. Because there's so many things that happen in the course. Do you feel an echo? No, you were just okay that moment. There's so many things. It's not just the childhood secrets and scars, but it's what happens on a day-to-day basis. You need, because we move at lightning speed all the time. So when do we ever just give ourselves? We might give ourselves a manicure or massage, and that's wonderful and necessary, but it's talking those things out that's really vital. And when you're sitting here in that hour, whatever it is, things come to you because you are giving yourself the time. You are still for the moment. And amazing things come out when we do that. It's not talking that keeps us from really being as productive as we could be. And I'll never forget that I had a pretty unhealthy relationship with a business partner. And, wow. What I realized when I was in this particular session was the therapist said to me, my mother is someone who, and you know that all of us inherit the unresolved pain, wounds, trauma, and scars from our parents, right? And then when we are parents, we do the exact same things to our kids. And so nobody's getting help. That's the problem. And like when you're in a relationship with somebody, it just looks like there's, two of us in this relationship, two of us in this relationship. It just looks like that. But I got 3 or 4 personalities in me, and then you got 4 or 5 in you. And this is important to keep in mind, not just personally, but in the workplace, because you might say something, and the other person goes completely off, and you're like, what did I say? Do you know what I'm saying? How about you just said something that triggered something that person that never got resolved? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's important, and the question is, when we interact with people, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. What happened to you that caused you to react in that way? That's how we have to try to move through the world. Try to. I know it's not always easy, because if somebody comes out of their mouth and it's a little foul, you want to go somewhere else with them, So I'm just suggesting that you try to keep that in mind, that you never know what somebody is going through. So I'm in this particular session, and my therapist says, well, I know your issues with your mother. My mother is she was someone that I had to please when I was growing up. So I learned how to be a people pleaser. And a people pleaser means you don't stand for anything. You'll go whichever way the wind blows, So, anyway, she was the one I had to please. And my dad, beautiful spirit, both of their fathers abandoned their children. So that has an impact, and we don't talk about those things. So, whenever I would ask my dad what he thought about anything, hush up over there. if you, no, go ahead, you want to finish? No. Okay. Oh, y'all can't hear me still? No. Oh, wow. Oh. I'm sorry. No, I'm just playing. I know.
Can you hold the microphone?
Excuse me, can I hold it? Well, this, you hear this better. Okay. That's better, I can tell. Thank you. Now, where was I? Okay, so I'm in this session, and my therapist says to me, now I know about your mother, but tell me about your father. And just like that, my hand went to my head, and I realized that because my father never gave me any guidance, I started looking for answers from brothers, the wrong brothers. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so, but it was so amazing, and I was and am still so grateful to understand where that was coming from. Making all the wrong choices just because I didn't get that when I was growing up. So I share that with you just as amazing. I hope that during our little, Q&A time, that some of you would be honest enough to maybe share a story that would help somebody else here in this room who sees you one way and doesn't necessarily see the other side. But we have to share our stories with one another. And one of the other things that I think is important is so that we can begin to raise healthier young people is to share our stories with our kids. Kids are smart as a whip, and I shared this, Michelle, in your newsletter. Kids are smart as a whip. They don't miss anything. So if they live with us, work with us, or go to school with us, there's nothing we can hide. They already know we're crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? They know, they see you. You can't hide nothing from them. So when the kid says, Mommy and Daddy, adult figure, are you sad? Are you angry? The moment we say no, setting them up for life. Setting them up for life because they already know. The reason they asked you was because they sensed that something was wrong. And then this most high person in my life just lied to me, and they know that. All in the name of trying to protect them. So we want to be careful because we're teaching kids how to lie. We're teaching them to not trust their intuition because their intuition told them that something was wrong. But then this most high person in my life just lied to me. When we lie to them trying to protect them, we also don't teach them what we do when we fall down. Like, you know what, your dad and I had an argument today, your mother and I had an argument today, we love each other very much. This is what happens, you know, you have disagreements with people, so you talk it out. Or sometimes, or I didn't get that gig that I wanted. So when I'm feeling sad, sometimes I might go talk to a therapist. Sometimes I'll go for a walk, I'll write in my journal. Any of the things that you do or should do, but you want to communicate to the young person in your life, that those are the things that they can do to try to relieve themselves of whatever it is, you know, that's bothering them. And so I think that we have to be the example for our kids. I was talking to a woman not so long ago, and she was saying that her son was like 12 years old. They were watching something sensitive about sexual, you know, predators or something, whatever it was. And her son said, and I don't know how often they're sitting there watching it get so quiet when an issue like this comes up about, you know, someone being sexually offensive. And so she told him that she had been sexually abused. But the fact that he noticed it all this time, you know, and never said anything, and then finally decided to say something. We do a great injustice by not telling our kids how we're doing. We don't tell them all of the, you know, the nuts and bolts of it, but enough so that they can grow up to be healthy adults. Everybody in this room has somebody that they can talk to and share. You know, it's how we can begin to heal as a nation, as a community. It's what we must do. So I would encourage you to just keep that in mind. You know, the reality is that we are dying as a community. We can see it every single day, the violence that goes on, and we know that it goes untreated. There are so many of us walking around with post-traumatic stress disorder. Because we see somebody shot down and killed or stabbed right in front of us, right? Right in front of us, and then what happens? They get up and go to work or school the next day like they didn't just see that. How can they concentrate? Severe post-traumatic stress disorder in our communities everywhere. Again, we have to be gentle. Walk down the street, you see somebody, brother or sister that you don't know, smile and say hello. Sometimes they might even turn around, especially in the inner city. They will turn around to see who you're smiling at because you know what? They know they don't matter. They know they don't matter. She can't be, especially if the sister's well-dressed, brother's well-dressed, they're not talking to me. I don't matter. And it is a crime on our watch to have anybody feel that they don't matter. But there are some of us who get a little high and mighty and really do believe they don't matter. So I would just encourage you, you know, sometimes when I walk down the street and I will smile at someone, especially the brothers, they will turn around to see who I'm smiling at. Because they know what? They don't matter. Every single day you have the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. And you must do that. Make somebody feel like they matter. Ask them how they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brothers really, I'm not saying that women don't have it difficult, because we do. We take in other people's stuff all the time. We try to do this. Huh? Yes, we do. Can you give an example? Can you all hear her? No. Surely you can hear her. Just come on up here with me for a minute. Come on, you have to open your mouth so loud.
Did you get anyway?
What's your name?
My name is Wandella.
Wandella. Okay.
And I am a registered nurse and I work for
Okay.
Johns
Oh.
Hopkins Healthcare. I'm sorry. And on a daily basis, we take care of a lot of members who have multiple medical problems, and on the top of the list is mental health issues. So we must deal with the mental health issues before we can help them with their medical health problems. And we, as nurses, we are taught to be non-judgmental, and we have to work with these people. And we first have to get them to trust us enough to accept mental health care. Because everybody thinks mental health care is for crazy people, whatever that is.
Yes.
I mean, like you, I'm crazy too.
That's why you're here.
So as a nurse, we tend to take on that issue. Yes, I mean, I try not to be on my ride home thinking about what can I do to help Miss Jones, but you can't help it. You're thinking all the time about how to help these people and the resources for them.
Thank you very much. Be careful if you speak up, because I'll have to call you up. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And all of us, every last one of us is walking that very, very fine line of crazy. I get a lot of, since I wrote Black Pain, and that came about because I want to say that whatever it is that you're going through, when you go through it and you come out on the other side, that's when you find out what it is that you're called to do. That's when you find out. Things don't happen, horrific things happen to people, but the only way that you can heal is to save the next person who might. I went through harrowing depression. It just really was a breakdown. Woke up every morning. It's hard to go back there, but it's necessary to talk about it. I could barely get out of the bed. I would lie there in tears in a fetal position. Took every ounce of energy that I had to get up, to shower, to dress, and then go out into the world with this smile plastered on my face, speaking to people and dying, literally dying. And I remember one time in particular, which is what led me to see a therapist, and some friends got me to see a therapist, was that I couldn't believe the difference of my being on the floor in tears and then getting up to receive this award and pretending that everything was fine. I was dying up there. So it's the fire in me now. I live and would die for waking us up to our mental health issues. There is nothing more important. We are nothing without our mental and emotional health. And that the thought that somebody is afraid to share their story or afraid to go get help is not something I can bear. Not if I can tell you mine and how I am getting through it. Use yourself to help somebody else, but also guard yourself. There will be nothing for you to give to anybody else if you don't. And it's something that I have to work very, very, very hard at because of this book that I've written. And it came about because I decided at one point to share my story, and the then editor-in-chief of Essence was there. It was some C-SPAN thing, and I heard God tell me to tell my story. And it's interesting because I would always say that I believe in God, right? But I never heard him tell me to do anything. But I did hear clearly,
Oh, I know.
I was like, I believe in God, but no, he's not talking to me. But now I know that little voice or that idea that pops into your head or something that you're supposed to, that's him talking to us. So now I know. So what I heard him say to tell that story, I did. And then the then editor-in-chief comes up to me afterwards, stunned beyond belief that I was suffering so. And her 13-year-old daughter was with her, and she asked me, she said she wanted to know what depression was. And so I told her graphically what it was like for me. So That's how we can heal ourselves individually and as a city, a town, a nation. Share yourself with somebody else. It doesn't get any better than that. When I meet children or adults whose daddies are not in their lives, I'm going to tell them how they might feel that their daddy's not in their lives. I'm going to tell them that. You know, I don't know, but just so you know that these are some of the things that you might feel or do when your daddy's not in your life and you're not by yourself. Have you all had the experience where maybe there was something you really, really, really wanted to know but were afraid to ask? That's what we have to do with their kids. They don't even know what they don't know. They don't even know what's missing inside of them. They don't know. I heard this kid last night, one of those Scared Straight programs here, and these kids just lost, just absolutely lost. And this one kid said to a police officer, he said something about being a man, and the guy said, I don't even know what it means to be a man. Nobody in this life to guide him and to teach him. And if we don't do our own part and bring others aboard, we pay for it. In every single way, we pay for it. So just encourage you, and you can invite them over to your house if you're having a cookout. Some people don't even have that kind of family experience. You know, Susan Taylor, a wonderful friend, she was doing an event for about 200 women. And there are two young men that I mentioned who are members of the Bloods. Not actively, but brought them into my world when I got a letter from one of them because I had written my story in a prison publication. He was like, you depressed? I'm like, I'm just like you. Maybe I don't go around killing people, but I'm just like you. Want to kill somebody, but I don't execute, you know. Anyway, long story short, they came, and it was a wonderful thing because Susan has this wonderful Trump Tower place, and for them to just be in that midst, we have to bring them into our world. Those are our children. Those are our children, and they will never learn unless we put them in place to do so. Hooked them up with a whole lot of people. Terrie McMillan is Auntie Terrie now. She paid for their insurance for a year. And I'm saying that both sides learn from the other. You know, I've learned a lot. Couldn't find a better friend. I know I don't want you to, like, kill somebody on behalf of me, but I love them, and I learned from them a great, great deal. So I want to just say that those are the ones, and I remember somewhere speaking about the importance of having all kinds of young people in our lives. And this one woman said to me, or she asked me a question because they were on a panel, and she said, and what I said was that Susan Taylor wasn't one of those bushy Negroes who said no to these young men coming to her home. So I used that, I said that. I said, I know that there are a whole lot of bushy Negroes here who would never allow them in your space. And this woman gets up and she said, I'm one of those bushy Negroes you just spoke about. And I want to know, how do I not be afraid of you? Honest. Honest. And so it was a great conversation. Are you all right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were crying that time. Okay. So anyway, I know you can't take me anywhere. I'm off the cuff. But I got to tell you something. I'm very excited today. Or at least I had met some years ago. She said, oh, you know, I think you lost some weight. And I was like, you know, yeah, I did. And it makes a difference. People just, they judge you, you know. But I gained some weight back. But I remember very vividly when I did T.D. Jakes' his Thou Art Loosed conference. And it was such an amazing experience because, you know those towels in the bathroom, the bath towels, they are little if you have like the big. So I was so excited that morning that it was the first time that I was able to put one of those hotels around me, and it stayed up. So this is how I started my remarks. I was like, not for nothing, y'all, but I gotta tell somebody about this. Y'all know about those hotel towels. I said, well, I put it around my body because somebody was coming to do my makeup, and I said, and it stayed up, and I just had to tell somebody about it. So we had a good laugh. You gotta share our stories with each other. I want to hear from you all about some things, but it's all that I just asking the question: are you all that you want to be? We're dying, and when you don't speak about what's inside of you, it is a slow death. You have to revisit your past. There's a young girl who was 15 years old, was in and out of trouble. She went to stay with her honor student cousin and her mother. This was about 5 years ago. She's in prison for life now. Long story short, she stabbed her cousin, check this out, 48 times. She stabbed her 48 times, slashed her throat, took her iPod and his sneakers off her feet. And once again, it's not what's wrong with you. What happened to you? That kind of rage. So as you interact with people generally, it's what happened. You know, it's not even about you. And then as one of my colleagues reached out to me. He was going to a funeral and had been asked to speak. And the story was that his cousin's, what was it? Long story short, this young girl got pregnant by her father. She had the baby, and they knew that it was incest because there are certain defects that you'll see. And the mother was on the phone with her son, and he just shot himself in the head while she was on the phone. Now, imagine, and this is what I'm saying, we have got to encourage people, whoever are in our lives or not, to get help to talk about it. I don't even believe that she's going to see a grief counselor. So you're impregnated by your daddy, then he kills himself. What do you do with that? What kind of guilt must she have about, do you know what I'm saying? So we just never know what a person's story is, and we have to, you know, we can't hold it in. And we have to encourage people. If you hear someone has a tragic death in their family, just ask them, are you going to see a counselor? Run and see a counselor. Anybody have any questions? A couple more things I want to say, but does anybody have any questions or anything that you would like to?
Do you have any advice for how people select a counselor? I think that people don't know something.
You all can't hear it, can you? Yeah. Oh, you can? Stand up though if you would.
I think that some people don't always know how to select a counselor or what the process is to go through to find one. It seems to be a little bit more complicated than just going to a regular health professional. And then how do you tell if they're good?
Well, that's a good question, and I think it's when you meet someone and you decide you want to be friends with that person, there are some things that are said and exchanges that help you to know that. It's a relationship just like anyone. And I will say this, that it doesn't always have to be a person of color. Because you could have someone who, you know, there's the two young men that I work with who are members of the Bloods who do denounce violence. I connected them for a session. I thought we would maybe be together for about two and a half hours. But we were together for about 4.5 hours. And they talked and they wept for all of that time about lost childhood. Mother was on crack, father wasn't around, and so he's a white guy. He's an internationally renowned trauma expert. Whereas you could find a black therapist who may not understand, who may not have been able to understand the plight of these young men. So it really, I say that you just want to find the best person who's compassionate, someone who you feel, who speaks the things that breathe life into you and help give you understanding. It's a relationship just like any other, is my thought. I don't know if anybody else has a thought about that. Oh, yes, go ahead. Can you speak loudly?
I found my therapist referral.
Stand up,
friend,
please.
as I was looking for one, and so that my therapist I'm enjoying so much that I refer her, refer other people to her. So I found my therapist through conversation with someone else who had a therapist, had her as a therapist. And then when I began to go to her, I found it was right, and I do refer others to her.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything that they want to share on that? No? Yes, please. I see you in the black, Miss. You know what? I'm not hearing or seeing. Whoever that is, could you stand up?
There was another comment I wanted to make. It wasn't about that.
Okay, please go ahead.
I just want to thank you for coming here and saying what you said because I tend to provide practice the way that you said about asking for what happened. And I get joked because I'm the person that comes around and says, well, what happened? No matter if you're a killer, it doesn't matter. Like, what happened to you? And I think it's important that we all get people's history because we can help them change their past. And I try to figure out ways to get other clinicians to understand that everything can't always be solution focused. We have to go back and see what happened.
That's right.
So thank you so much.
This is my pleasure. Thank you. There's a really fine film out there. Probably is not going to last out very long, but Halle Berry stars in. It's called Frankie and Alice. It opened April 4th, but you know, it's about, and this is one of what I just learned recently, that PTSD is the reason that many people also start splitting off into different personalities. You know, so when you haven't dealt with your childhood wounds and scars, then you figure out ways to, you know, to protect yourself. So wanted to mention that. Anybody else have a question? Yes.
Good morning.
Stand, please.
Yes, ma'am. My question was, I work with Baltimore City Department of Social Services. I'm based
Can
out
you all hear her?
I work with families out of the local Department of Social Services, and a lot of times there are young people and their families who have a trust issue with the mental health community as far as connecting to services. And so I'm looking for resources and trustworthy resources that I can put in the hands of families that will access these services, because I know that families certainly need counseling, they need mental health. It's an issue that's beyond us. And so that we can give them what they need, I'm always looking to update and keep my information current. So I need that today to take back with me. My colleague and I, we're here, and we need to put that in the hands of families and also build that trust for families so that they can access the services that they need.
And this afternoon session is all about giving you some tools and resources, and so that are very much accessible, that you can take with you today, that are in your city. So bear with us as we sort of set the stage this morning with Ms. Williams and the testimonials, and then we will get on to those as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You have a question?
Yes. So good morning, everyone. I just want to know, so what I see, I work with the Medicare beneficiary population, and what I see a lot in the elderly is that, you know, we have this belief, especially being African Americans, that we need to turn to the church and we need to be in prayer all the time, you know, that we really need to pray, and if we don't have this strong relationship with God, then this is why we have these mental health issues. And I guess I want to understand, I guess, a better way of not to, of course, to have God in your life and have that relationship, but also to help people understand that it is okay to go seek mental health services as well. So how do we deal with that stigma?
No, I'm glad that you raised that. It's not just okay, it's necessary to breathe and to move through this world. I know that it was my God who led me to the right psychiatrist. That's what I know. And I speak at a lot of churches, and oftentimes I will ask the pastor whether or not he or she sees a therapist. And one I spoke to fairly recently said that he goes every week, wouldn't go without it. And so I said, well, you need to, if you're not already, say in the sermon, when I was in my therapist's office, because that's what's going to help people understand that you need both. You know, yes, we can talk to him, and yes, we can pray, and we can do all of that, and prayer works. You know, I know that, but at the same time, and if you're a preacher, everybody wants something from you. Everybody's trying to tell you their problem. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, in general, I think that people should be, and you know what else I find, just a small thing, but so many people are just first ladies are oftentimes invisible to the congregation. All they want to do is kiss the ring of the pastor. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I'm just saying. And they feel it. And they need to see a therapist too because of the way that everybody kisses the behind of the pastor. Like they don't even matter. You know? You were looking at your watch. Is it wrap up time? Is that just a few? Hurry up and wrap up. Okay. I got you. I want to share a few things with you in a piece that I wrote that I want to just leave you with. And it's about reaching for real power in your life. Okay? Real power is when your presence, your actions and words awaken something inside of people, influences them, and transforms their spirit. It's about stepping into your name and surrendering to the Creator's purpose for your life. It's using gifts and resources that are uniquely yours to recycle the inspiration because no dream should ever be thrown away. This is really, really key. Choose your friends wisely because people's spirits are transferable. Yeah. Compare yourself never to other people because you will never win, but to who you were last month, last year, 5 years ago. You stand a better chance. Face the truth about who you are, the good and the crazy as hell side. Take off a layer of your mask to share your journey with another for the sake of healing, for both of you. We're all the same inside. Again, be kind to all you meet. You never know their journey. Be kinder than necessary because everybody you meet is fighting some kind of battle. You never know what might trigger something. Believe that adversity is the breakfast of champions. You want to know how to eat this stuff. We learn to get nutrition from each attack or setback. I promise you that whatever it is that you are going through, you need to share it, speak publicly or in a small group, bring a small group together and share that and just watch what happens. You know, many people who have, you know, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving, you are forced into action when you experience a horrific experience. So just consider that. What I know is that I can't be who I'm supposed to be until you become who you are supposed to be. Know that you don't always have the answer. Step outside your comfort zone every day and understand that the butterflies inside mean you are taking your game to the next level. If you don't get up with them, you're either going through life being pathetic or you're flatlining. Those butterflies, they feel horrible. Don't they? It's making you feel like you want to vomit, but it's like, thank you, God, because it means I'm challenging myself and trying to go to the next level. Know that you will go through the fire. There's joy in the morning when you come out on the other side. Know that leadership is a balance of being demanding and fair, tough yet compassionate. Remember, and this is key, and I have to tell myself this every single day. That's why I wrote about it. Put the oxygen mask over your own mouth first. Then, if you have a small child sitting next to you, or somebody who's acting like one, then secure that person's mask. You truly can't do anything for somebody else unless you take care of you. I know it's hard, yes. It's hard, it's sometimes really hard. Know that if you only live for yourself, it only matters to you when you're gone. Reach out and throw a lifeline. Huh? No, I wrote this. So, I mean, it's an article. So, if anybody, I hate to say this. Yes. Okay. But you all can come up with your own, too, but I'm happy to share. Okay. Here's the really important thing, because I know everybody in this room is wearing their strong face. Real power is being able to ask for help when you are the strong one, who wears it on your forehead. Strong one, okay? That everybody else goes to when they need help. Realize that God will give you the strength and tools to do whatever extraordinary things you're asked to do. Giving and receiving touch is important. Millions of people suffer because they can't do either. And you know what it can be like? It can be like for you if it's been a minute since you got some. Don't you get a little bit cranky sometimes? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. You get a little irritable and you snap at somebody else and you take it out on them just because you ain't got none. So they have things like massages or toys or whatever it is. I'm just saying. All right, I gotta hurry. Turn your message to your message. Know that your life's work is already written. All you have to do is show up, and for many of us, it's the hard part. Make today an I apologize day. You don't need to, you know who you need to celebrate with. And I will say something about anger, inappropriate anger. It's 10 o'clock, I know I'm coming now. Anger. We're always just check your anger level, you know? I'm someone who, not that my friends, family, and staff didn't know that I had anger issues, but it wasn't until I was in therapy that my therapist and I explored that. So then I had to run around and, apologize to friends who did nothing but love me. And sometimes, and I'm a very thoughtful, kind person, but there was this other side that I would sometimes talk to people in a way that they did not deserve to be talked to. Oh my God, so I, ran around and apologized. So I'm just saying, check your anger. What is it that you're really angry at? Say thank you when a true friend tells you about yourself, even though it may sting. Here's a life lesson. See that your insecurities and jealousy tell you what you really want in life. Okay? Whenever you catch yourself being jealous, somebody's doing something that you want to do or think you should be doing. So get your act together. Okay? Real power is learning to make new mistakes. Just don't do the same dumb stuff all the time. And I'm going to wrap up because it is time. It's been my honor and blessing to be with you. Thank you for listening. Stay strong and God bless you.